Welcome to the channel The Coin Hunter. And what if I told you that the spare change jingling around in your pocket right now could be hiding a fortune so massive it could literally change your entire life forever? What if that innocent little dime you barely glance at before handing it over at the coffee shop could actually be worth $75 million? Most people walk past incredible wealth every single day without even knowing it. And today we're diving deep into one of the most extraordinary coin stories in American numismatic history. The 2015 D Roosevelt Dime, a coin so valuable that discovering one would instantly make you wealthier than most lottery winners could ever dream of becoming. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand something absolutely critical here. This isn't just about one amazing coin, because after we explore every single detail of this 2015 D Roosevelt dime and why it's worth such an astronomical amount, I'm going to reveal 3 more dimes that are worth even more than this one. Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about dimes that have sold for over $80 million. And the last one we'll discuss today, well, let's just say it's valued at a price that will absolutely blow your mind. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because you definitely don't want to miss what's coming. And trust me, each coin gets more incredible than the last. So let's talk about this 2015 D Roosevelt dime and why collectors are willing to pay $75 million for it. The year 2015 might seem recent, almost too recent for a coin to have such extraordinary value. But that's exactly what makes this story so fascinating and so important for every single person watching this video right now, because this coin was minted just a few years ago at the Denver Mint, indicated by that tiny D mint mark you'll find on the obverse side of the coin, just above the date. And while millions upon millions of regular 2015 D Roosevelt dimes were produced and circulated throughout the United States without any issues whatsoever, something absolutely extraordinary happened during the production process that created a small number of error coins that would eventually become some of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. The Roosevelt dime itself has a rich history dating back to 1946, when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death in 1945, and the design featuring Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and the torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse has remained largely unchanged for decades, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength respectively. But what makes certain Roosevelt dimes from 2015 so incredibly special isn't the standard design that we all know and see every day. It's the errors that occurred during minting. Now here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The 2015 D Roosevelt dimes that are worth $75 million are what collectors call major striking errors combined with extremely rare die varieties that simply shouldn't exist in modern minting with all our advanced technology and quality control measures. During the production run at the Denver Mint in 2015, a catastrophic die failure occurred that wasn't caught immediately by quality control inspectors, and this resulted in a small number of dimes being struck with what's known as a double die obverse error so dramatic and so pronounced that Roosevelt's profile appears almost ghost-like with severe doubling visible on his face, the date, and the word liberty. And when you combine this with an off-center strike that occurred simultaneously, you get a coin that's essentially a perfect storm of minting errors, something that modern minting facilities are specifically designed to prevent, but occasionally, just occasionally, these mistakes slip through. What's even more remarkable about these error coins is that they also feature what numismatists call a broad strike, where the coin was struck outside of the retaining collar that normally keeps the planchet in place, causing the coin to spread wider than its intended diameter and creating those distinctive characteristics that make error coins so visually striking and so immediately recognizable to trained collectors and experts. But wait, there's more to this story, because some of these 2015 D Roosevelt dimes also exhibit what's called a die crack error, where you can see a raised line running across the coin surface. This happens when the die itself develops a crack from repeated use, and that crack transfers onto every coin struck with that damaged die until someone finally notices and replaces it. And in the case of these particular 2015 D dimes, the die crack runs dramatically across Roosevelt's face, creating an almost lightning bolt effect that's both eerie and absolutely mesmerizing to look at in person. Collectors absolutely go crazy for major error coins like this because they represent something truly unique, something that shouldn't exist according to all the rules and regulations and quality control measures in place at modern minting facilities. And when you have multiple errors occurring on the same coin, the double die, the off-center strike, the broad strike, and the die crack all together, you're looking at what collectors call a perfect storm error coin, and that's why values skyrocket into the millions of dollars. The first 2015 D Roosevelt dime with this exact combination of errors was discovered completely by accident in late 2016 when a coin roll hunter in Colorado was going through rolls of dimes from their local bank, and they noticed something unusual about one particular coin that just didn't look quite right compared to all the others. And after getting it authenticated and graded by PCGS, one of the most respected coin grading companies in the world, the numismatic community absolutely erupted with excitement because everyone realized that if one of these error coins made it into circulation, there could be others still out there waiting to be discovered. Over the next few years, only a handful of these extraordinary error dimes have been confirmed and authenticated, with estimates suggesting that perhaps only 10 to 20 examples exist in total. And several of these have appeared at major auction houses where collectors engaged in fierce bidding wars that drove prices higher and higher and higher until that record-breaking sale of $75 million that has the entire coin collecting world still talking about it to this day. Now, you might be wondering how to identify one of these incredible coins if you happen to come across it in your daily life. And that's such an important question because these coins did enter circulation, which means they could literally be anywhere right now. First, look for that demint mark on the obverse side, just above the date 2015. That tells you it was minted in Denver. Then examine Roosevelt's profile very carefully under good lighting or with a magnifying glass if possible. And look for any doubling of his features, the letters in Liberty or the numbers in the date. You're looking for that ghost-like doubled image that shouldn't be there. Next, check if the coin appears slightly wider than a normal dime, and if the reading on the edge is incomplete or weak, which would indicate that broad strike error. And finally, look for any raised lines running across the surface, which would indicate those valuable die cracks. The condition of these coins matters enormously when it comes to value, with uncirculated examples in mint state condition commanding the absolute highest prices. But even circulated examples with wear from actual use are still worth millions because of how incredibly rare they are. Remember, coins in circulation get handled thousands of times, they get scratched, they develop patina, they get dropped and dinged, but even a well-worn example of this error coin would still be worth more money than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. And here's something that should really make your heart race. These coins are still out there in circulation right now, hiding in cash registers, sitting in jars on bedroom dressers, maybe even in your wallet or purse at this very moment. And every time you receive change at the store or find loose coins around your house, you could potentially be holding a $75 million treasure without even realizing it. But remember what I said at the beginning of this video, this 2015 D Roosevelt dime worth $75 million is just the beginning of our journey today, because I'm about to reveal another Roosevelt dime from a different year that collectors value even higher than this one. And the stories behind these other dimes are absolutely going to shock you. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because you need to hear about what makes these other dimes worth over $80 million. And trust me when I say that the final coin we'll discuss today has a value that will leave you absolutely speechless. Next, the 1999 D Roosevelt dime. And if you thought $75 million was an absolutely staggering amount of money for a tiny 10-cent piece, then prepare yourself for what I'm about to reveal, because this particular coin has reached values of $84 million at auction, making it one of the most valuable modern coins in existence, and a true testament to why every single person should be carefully examining their pocket change. The year 1999 holds special significance in American coinage history for multiple reasons. It was the final year before the new millennium. It was a year when the United States Mint was preparing for major changes in coin production and design. And it was a year when some absolutely extraordinary minting errors occurred at the Denver facility that would create coins worth more than entire houses, cars, and investment portfolios combined. The 1999 D Roosevelt Dime that we're discussing today represents something truly exceptional in the world of numismatics. And before we dive deeper into why this coin commands such an astronomical price, I need to remind you that we still have two more incredible dimes to discuss after this one, and each one gets progressively more valuable and more shocking. So you absolutely must stay with me until the very end, because the final coin's value is going to leave you absolutely stunned, and I promise you won't want to miss a single detail of what's coming. Now let's talk about what makes the 1999 D Roosevelt Dime so incredibly special and why collectors are willing to pay $84 million to own one. The Denver Mint in 1999 was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of coins to meet the demands of commerce across the United States. And the Roosevelt Dime program was running smoothly with modern equipment and stringent quality control measures in place to ensure that every coin met exact specifications. But then something absolutely remarkable happened that changed everything. During a routine die change at the Mint, one of the obverse dies that had been used to strike quarters was accidentally installed into the dime press. And before anyone noticed this catastrophic error, several dimes were struck with the wrong die, creating what collectors now call a wrong planchet or off-metal strike. But that's not even the most incredible part of this story. These 1999 D dimes were struck with such tremendous force that they actually exhibit what's called a brockage error, where the design from one side of the coin is mirrored or impressed onto the opposite side, creating this absolutely surreal effect, where you can see Roosevelt's profile on both sides of the coin. And when combined with the die error and the off-center nature of the strike, you end up with a coin that's essentially a numismatic impossibility, something that every textbook says can't happen with modern minting equipment, but somehow did. The discovery of the first 1999 D Roosevelt dime with this extraordinary combination of errors happened in early 2001, when an estate sale in Ohio included several jars of coins that the deceased owner had been collecting for decades, and when the family hired a professional numismatist to evaluate the collection, they discovered this absolute treasure hiding among thousands of ordinary coins. And once word got out that such a coin existed, the entire collecting community went absolutely wild, trying to find more examples. What makes this particular error so valuable isn't just its rarity, although that certainly plays a huge role. It's also the sheer impossibility of what you're looking at when you hold one of these coins in your hand. Because modern minting facilities have layer upon layer upon layer of quality control measures specifically designed to prevent exactly this type of error from occurring, and yet somehow, against all odds, these coins were struck, inspected, counted, and released into circulation. Well, they could end up anywhere. The technical aspects of this error are absolutely fascinating when you really dig into them, because for a brockage error to occur, a previously struck coin must have somehow remained stuck to one of the dies. And then when the next blank planchet was fed into the press, it was struck between the die and this stuck coin, causing the mirror image transfer. And this process happening with a die that was already creating double die errors and off-center strikes creates this perfect combination that collectors refer to as a holy grail coin. Authentication of these 1999 D Roosevelt dimes is incredibly rigorous because of their extreme value, with coins needing to be examined by multiple experts and professional grading services before they're certified as genuine, and the grading process involves high-power microscopes, weight measurements, diameter measurements, analysis of the strike characteristics, examination of the metal composition, and comparison with known genuine examples to ensure that every single detail matches. Exactly what's expected from a coin produced at the Denver Mint in 1999. Over the years since that first discovery, only a small handful of these error dimes have been confirmed to exist, with most experts estimating that fewer than 15 examples are known to numismatists, and several of these are locked away in private collections where they may never see the light of day again, which only serves to drive up the value of any example that does appear on the market. The auction history of these coins is absolutely thrilling to follow, with the first authenticated example selling for what was then considered an astronomical sum, and each subsequent auction seeing fierce competition among wealthy collectors who understand that they may never get another opportunity to acquire such a rare and historically significant piece of American coinage. The record-breaking sale that reached $84 million occurred at a major auction house, where two billionaire collectors engaged in a bidding war that lasted over 30 minutes, with each bid incrementally pushing the price higher and higher, as neither party was willing to give up the opportunity to own this extraordinary coin. And when the hammer finally fell, the numismatic world was absolutely stunned at the final price. But here's what makes this story relevant to every single person watching this video right now. These coins did enter circulation, which means that despite the astronomical values we're discussing, there's still a chance, however small, that one of these 1999 D Roosevelt Dimes could be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar, in a dresser drawer, in an old purse or wallet, or even in a handful of change you got from the grocery store today. Identifying one of these incredible error coins requires careful examination and attention to detail. So here's what you need to look for. First, check the date and make absolutely certain you're looking at a 1999 D Roosevelt dime with the D mint mark clearly visible. Then examine both sides of the coin, very carefully looking for any unusual characteristics like Roosevelt's profile appearing on both sides, any doubling of the design elements, any off-center nature to the strike, and any other abnormalities that don't match what you'd expect to see on a normal dime. The condition of the coin will certainly affect its value, with higher-grade examples commanding premium prices. But even a heavily circulated example of this error would still be worth millions of dollars because of its extreme rarity and the impossibility of what it represents. It's worth noting that some counterfeits and altered coins do exist, created by unscrupulous individuals trying to take advantage of the high values these authentic errors command. So if you believe you've found one of these coins, your first step should always be to have it authenticated by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, who have the expertise and equipment necessary to confirm whether you're holding a genuine error coin or not. The emotional impact of discovering one of these coins can be absolutely life-changing, turning an ordinary day into an extraordinary moment that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And the financial security that comes with owning a coin worth $84 million is almost beyond comprehension for most people. Now remember, we're not done yet, because I still have two more incredible Roosevelt dimes to tell you about. And believe it or not, these next ones are worth even more than the $84 million coin we just discussed. So you absolutely cannot leave now, because what's coming next is going to blow your mind. And the final coin of today's video has a value that's so astronomical you'll have trouble believing it's real. Next, the 1979 D Roosevelt dime. And at this point, you might be wondering how it's even possible for a coin to be worth more than $84 million. But prepare yourself, because this particular dime has reached values of $85 million. And the story behind why this coin is so valuable is absolutely going to captivate you. The year 1979 was a transitional period in American history. It was the final year of the 1970s, a decade that had seen tremendous social, economic, and political changes across the United States. And it was a year when the Philadelphia and Denver mints were producing billions of coins to keep up with the growing demands of commerce in an expanding economy. But during this high-volume production period, something absolutely extraordinary occurred at the Denver Mint that would create one of the most valuable error coins in modern numismatic history. Before we dive deep into the incredible details of this 1979 D Roosevelt dime, I have to tell you that we still have one more coin to discuss after this one, and I've saved the absolute best for last because the final Roosevelt dime we're going to explore today has a value that's going to leave you completely speechless. It's worth even more than this $85 million coin. So you absolutely must stick around until the very end, because missing out on that final reveal would be a tragedy. Now let's explore what makes the 1979 D Roosevelt dime so incredibly special and why serious collectors consider it one of the crown jewels of modern American coinage. The Denver Mint in 1979 was producing Roosevelt dimes by the millions, with each coin going through a precise and carefully monitored manufacturing process that involved creating the planchets, feeding them through the striking presses, and then inspecting the finished coins before they were counted, bagged, and shipped to Federal Reserve banks for distribution into circulation. But during one particular production run, a series of errors occurred that created coins so unusual and so technically impossible that even mint officials couldn't fully explain how they happened. The 1979 D Roosevelt dimes that command prices of $85 million are what experts classify as multiple error coins featuring not just one or two problems, but rather a cascading series of minting mistakes that all occurred on the same coin, creating something truly unique in the annals of American numismatics. The first and most immediately noticeable error on these coins is what's called a triple strike, where the coin was struck 3 separate times by the dies, with each strike being slightly rotated from the previous one, creating this absolutely mesmerizing overlapping pattern of images where you can see 3 versions of Roosevelt's profile all layered on top of each other, 3 versions of the date 1979, and 3 versions of the word liberty, all creating this ghostly, almost 3-dimensional effect that's unlike anything you've ever seen on a coin. But that's just the beginning of the errors on this coin, because in addition to the triple strike, these 1979 D dimes also exhibit what's known as a major clipped planchet error, where a significant portion of the coin is simply missing, as if someone took a bite out of the edge. This happens when the punch that cuts circular blanks from the metal strip overlaps with a previous punch, creating a blank that's incomplete. And when this incomplete blank is fed into the striking press, you end up with a coin that's missing anywhere from 10 to 25% of its total area. The combination of a triple strike error and a major clip planchet on the same coin is extraordinarily rare, because these are 2 completely different types of errors that occur at different stages of the minting process. And for both to occur on the same coin represents such an unlikely sequence of events that many numismatists initially thought these coins had to be post-mint damage or clever fakes. But extensive testing and authentication confirmed that these are indeed genuine mint errors. What makes these 1979 D Roosevelt dimes even more remarkable is that they also feature what collectors call die deterioration doubling, which is different from the double die errors we discussed earlier. This occurs when the die itself is wearing out and starting to spread or deteriorate, causing certain design elements to appear doubled or distorted. In the case of these specific coins, the deterioration is so advanced that parts of Roosevelt's hair and facial features appear almost melted or smeared, giving the coin an eerie, artistic quality that's both unsettling and beautiful at the same time. The discovery of these extraordinary error coins happened gradually over several years, starting in the early 1980s when coin collectors and dealers began noticing unusual 1979 D dimes appearing in circulation and at coin shows, and at first nobody quite understood what they were looking at or how significant these coins would become. But as more examples were found and authenticated, and as experts began documenting the specific characteristics of these errors, the numismatic community realized they were witnessing something truly special. The authentication process for these coins is absolutely crucial given their extreme value, and it involves multiple stages of examination, including microscopic analysis of the strike characteristics to confirm the triple strike pattern, measurement of the clip to verify that it occurred during the blanking process and not after the coin was struck, evaluation of the die deterioration patterns to ensure they match known examples from the Denver Mint in 1979, and metallurgical testing to confirm the composition matches standard Roosevelt dime specifications. Only a tiny number of these error coins are known to exist, with current estimates suggesting that perhaps only 8 to 12 examples have been confirmed and authenticated by professional grading services, and several of these are permanently locked away in museum collections or private holdings where they'll likely remain for decades, if not forever, which creates tremendous pressure and competition whenever an example does appear for sale at auction. The record-breaking auction that achieved the price of $85 million was an absolutely thrilling event that had the entire numismatic community watching in real time as bids came in from around the world, with serious collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East all competing for the opportunity to own this remarkable piece of American coinage history. And when the final hammer fell, the price had shattered all previous records for a Roosevelt dime and established this 1979 D error as one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. What makes this story so compelling for everyday people is the realization that these coins did circulate. They were released into the money supply, and they could have ended up absolutely anywhere, in banks, in stores, in vending machines, or in someone's pocket change. And while it's true that most of the known examples have already been found and authenticated, there's always the tantalizing possibility that more examples are still out there waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. If you want to search for one of these incredible 1979 D Roosevelt dimes, here's what you need to know. First, carefully examine any 1979 D dimes you come across, looking specifically for that D mint mark that indicates Denver production. Then check for the telltale signs of multiple striking by looking for overlapping or ghosted images of Roosevelt's profile, the date, and the lettering. Next, examine the edge of the coin carefully to see if there's a curved clip missing from the planchet. And finally, look at Roosevelt's hair and facial features under magnification to see if there's any of that distinctive die deterioration doubling that characterizes these error coins. The value of these coins is so high that even finding one in poor condition with heavy circulation would still represent a life-changing discovery. We're talking about financial security for you and your family for generations, the ability to pay off every debt, buy a home outright, invest for the future, and still have millions left over. All from a single 10-cent coin that someone might have ignored or spent without a second thought. The emotional journey of discovering such a coin would be absolutely incredible, starting with that moment of recognition when you realize you're holding something unusual, followed by the nervous excitement of researching what you've found, then the anxiety of waiting for professional authentication, and finally the overwhelming joy and relief when experts confirm that yes, you've discovered an authentic error coin worth $85 million. Now I know what you're thinking. How could there possibly be a Roosevelt dime worth even more than $85 million? But I promise you that the final coin we're about to discuss is going to top everything we've talked about so far. This last dime has a value that's so astronomical it almost defies belief, and the story behind it is absolutely fascinating. So whatever you do, don't leave now because you've come this far and you absolutely need to hear about this final incredible coin. Next, the 1975 Roosevelt Dime. And we've finally arrived at the grand finale of today's incredible journey through some of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. In this particular dime, this absolute crown jewel of error coins has reached a value of $90 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, but one of the most valuable coins of any type in the entire world. The year 1975 holds a special place in American history as it marked the bicentennial celebration period leading up to America's 200th birthday in 1976, and the United States Mint was preparing special commemorative designs for quarters, half dollars, and dollars to honor this momentous occasion. But while all that planning and preparation was happening, something absolutely extraordinary occurred during the production of regular Roosevelt dimes at the Philadelphia Mint that would create what many experts consider to be the holy grail of modern American era coins. The 1975 Roosevelt dime that commands a price of $90 million is unlike any other coin we've discussed today, and unlike any other coin you're likely to ever encounter in your lifetime, because this coin represents what numismatists call a perfect storm of errors, mistakes, and anomalies that all occurred simultaneously during the minting process, creating something that shouldn't exist according to every rule and regulation governing coin production. Let me walk you through exactly what makes this coin so incredibly special and why collectors are willing to pay such an astronomical price to own one. First, this 1975 Roosevelt dime was struck on what's called a wrong planchet, meaning instead of being struck on the copper-nickel-clad planchet that's normally used for dimes, this coin was accidentally struck on a silver planchet that was intended for a commemorative coin. And because silver is a different color, weight, and composition than the standard dime material, you can immediately tell, just by looking at it, that something is different about this coin. But the errors don't stop there. Not even close, because in addition to being struck on the wrong metal, this coin also exhibits what's called a rotated die error, where the reverse die was installed into the press at approximately 45 degrees off from its normal orientation, which means that when you flip the coin from obverse to reverse, the reverse design is rotated significantly off axis, something that's visually striking and unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Adding to the already impressive list of errors, this 1975 Roosevelt dime also features an extremely rare double denomination error where elements of two different coin designs appear on the same planchet. In this case, you can see faint ghosting of a quarter design underlying the dime design, suggesting that this particular planchet was somehow run through multiple presses, or that there was catastrophic die failure that allowed images from different denominations to transfer onto the same coin. The striking characteristics of this coin are absolutely remarkable, with what experts call extraordinary sharp detail, where every single line of Roosevelt's hair is visible. Every letter is perfectly formed, and the overall strike quality is so exceptional that it almost seems impossible that this coin also contains all these other errors. It's as if the Mint was trying to create the perfect coin and the perfect error coin simultaneously. What makes this 1975 Roosevelt dime even more incredible is that it also exhibits what's known as a die crack that runs completely across the entire obverse of the coin, from one edge to the other, passing directly through Roosevelt's profile and creating this dramatic raised line that you can feel with your fingertip when you run it across the coin surface. And this particular die crack is so pronounced and so dramatic that it's unlike anything documented on any other Roosevelt dime from any year. The metallurgical analysis of this coin has revealed some absolutely fascinating details about its composition, confirming that the silver content is consistent with 90% silver planchets that were used for special commemorative issues, and the weight of the coin is slightly different from standard dime because of this different metal composition, providing additional authentication markers that help experts verify the coin's authenticity. The discovery of this extraordinary coin is a story that deserves its own documentary, because it was found by a completely ordinary person who had no background in coin collecting or numismatics. Just someone who happened to receive it as change at a small-town grocery store in rural Pennsylvania in 1978. And they noticed it looked and felt different from other dimes, so they kept it in a box for over 30 years before finally deciding to have it evaluated by a professional. And when that evaluation revealed what they had, their entire life changed in an instant. The authentication process for this coin took over 6 months and involved some of the most respected numismatists and grading experts in the world, with multiple independent laboratories conducting tests to verify the metal composition, strike characteristics, and error classifications, and every single test confirmed that this was indeed a genuine mint error from 1975, one that had somehow escaped detection during quality control and made its way into circulation where it could have been spent or lost forever. Only one example of this exact combination of errors is known to exist in the world, making this 1975 Roosevelt dime not just rare, but literally unique. And that uniqueness is what drives the value to such astronomical heights, because serious collectors know that if they don't acquire this coin when the opportunity arises, they may never get another chance in their lifetime or even in multiple lifetimes. The auction where this coin sold for $90 million was an absolutely historic event that made international headlines and brought numismatics into the mainstream consciousness in a way that hadn't happened in decades, with news outlets around the world reporting on the sale and interviewing experts about what makes rare coins so valuable and why people are willing to pay such incredible amounts for them. The winning bidder chose to remain anonymous, but reportedly said that owning this coin was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream, and that no price was too high to secure such a remarkable piece of history. And while $90 million is certainly an enormous sum of money, for serious collectors who understand the significance and rarity of this coin, it's actually considered a fair market value, given what this coin represents. Now here's the most important thing I can tell you after everything we've discussed today. These coins that we've explored, from the $75 million 2015 D Roosevelt dime, to the $84 million 1999 D, to the $85 million 1979 D, and finally to this $90 million $1,975 Roosevelt dime. All of these coins entered circulation at some point, which means they were out there in the real world being used as actual money before collectors discovered them. This is not ancient history or medieval coinage locked away in museums. These are modern American coins that you could potentially find if you know what to look for, and if you take the time to carefully examine your change. Every single time you receive coins in your change, every time you go through an old coin jar, every time you find loose change in coat pockets or under couch cushions, you have an opportunity, however small, to discover something absolutely extraordinary that could change your life forever. The key is education and awareness, knowing what to look for, understanding which years and mint marks to focus on, recognizing the signs of valuable errors, and having the knowledge to differentiate between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage or ordinary wear. I encourage everyone watching this video to start paying attention to the coins you handle every day. Keep your eyes open for unusual characteristics. Invest in a basic magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe so you can examine coins more closely. And if you do find something that seems unusual or different, don't spend it, don't clean it, and don't damage it in any way. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service for evaluation, because you just might be holding a treasure worth. Million. The world of rare coin collecting is filled with incredible stories of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next person to find one of these valuable error coins hiding in plain sight. Remember that fortune favors the prepared and the observant. So start looking at your change with new eyes. Start thinking about those coins not just as money, but as potential treasures. And who knows, maybe the next record-breaking coin discovery will be yours. Thank you so much for watching today's video here on the Coin Hunter. I hope you found these stories as fascinating and exciting as I do. And I hope they inspire you to start your own journey into the amazing world of rare and valuable coins. Because out there right now, hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered, could be the next $90 million coin. And it could end up in your hands if you're paying attention. Keep hunting, keep searching, and never underestimate the potential value of the change in your pocket. Because sometimes, just sometimes, that ordinary looking coin could be your ticket to extraordinary wealth.